house of presence here. Hey, after you check your Facebook, please silence your phone. Come on, get up on your feet and let's make a joyful noise this morning. Here we go. Standing outside the door of love and mercy, you wonder if there's a place there for you. You know there's peace inside, but still you're searching for someone who understands the pain you've been through. When the doors are locked and lights are low, what are you waiting for? Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. Let's stay this morning. Put those hands together. You'll find a place of rest in the arms of spirit. God's name is soul over your homecoming day. God knows the peace you seek and the hurt you're feeling. Fear wants to hold you as you wipe your tears away. When the bottom waits, wait open arms. God is calling out your name. Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. There is room enough in the house of love. I wonders like you. Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. Come on. Come on in. Oh yeah, oh yeah. There was a time in my life I thought I had to do it all myself, and I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient, and I didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you got to let it go. You got to let it go. You got to let it go. Y'all don't hear me out there? And this is what you have to say. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life.
ahead and close your eyes for just one moment so that we can share a universal practice that is practiced around the world, and it is our invitation to bring spirit in, not to the world, to bring spirit into our very selves. We breathe in gently this breath of God that is breathing us, and we breathe out gently this breath of life that is breathing us, and we observe that which is in this moment, right now, being offered to us. And in this way, we not only turn to Spirit, we invite Spirit into the center of our being by inviting it into the center of our bodies, so we can embody this relationship we are having with God. We're not thinking about it, we're becoming it. Breathe in gently, and it's an invocation. Breathe out gently, and it's a release of everything unlike itself. And then when you observe what is in front of you, through the eyes of Spirit breathing you, you will watch in wonder the ways in which you become what you never imagined you could become. This is the way we become the divinity we already are, and we are willing. And so it is.
Good morning, Unity of Fort Lauderdale. How is everyone this morning?
Good.
All right, well that's good. My name is Jerome, and I am serving on your board of trustees here at this ministry. And on behalf of them and everyone serving today, we would like to welcome you to our service. Unity is a positive, practical path to spiritual living. We believe that each and every one of us has that spark of divinity that lives right here. And we recognize and honor all paths to God, so everyone is always welcome here. And as we do every week, let's please affirm together our mission, vision, and our core values. Our mission:
We pray, serve, connect, and celebrate our divinity to awaken and transform ourselves and our world.
And our mission statement:
Centered in love, we envision and create a vibrant community for global spiritual awakening.
And our values:
Love, joy, generosity, inclusiveness, and wholeness.
Let's just breathe those in for a moment. What's going on in our community? Well, we had a town hall meeting on Monday, and we shared some very important information about what's going on and some very important financial information about this ministry. We will continue to have these, and we look forward for your participation in future events. We hope to get some of this information on the website, so if you did not attend the meeting on Monday, you can find out what was going on. Summer fun events. Reverend Vernell, who is the founder of Golden Life Ministries, has been granted Mulligan's Beach Cafe every Thursday, that a portion of the proceeds for that restaurant will go towards her ministry. Now that's every Thursday from 5 to 8. Unity Fort Lauderdale is combining our second Sunday dinner, which would have been today, with that event. So on Thursday, which is the 13th, is officially Unity of Fort Lauderdale evening at Mulligan's Cafe. There is no registration for this. Bring your families, bring your friends from 5 to 8 o'clock. Everything you eat and drink, a portion of that will go towards Golden Life Ministries, and we want to support Reverend Vernell. And outreach couldn't be any easier than going someplace to eat and have a good time. Right?
Yes.
All right. Also, another opportunity. I don't know if any of you are aware, but Fort Lauderdale has been putting on outdoor musical concerts every Friday evening in Holiday Park for 41 years. The events run from June 7th, which started Friday, through August. I can't see what the date is, but Unity of Fort Lauderdale has officially decided that on Friday, June 21st, we are going to get together there. Grab a picnic basket, make something at home, bring a chair, bring a blanket. We happen to like the music, the band that is playing there that evening. That's Valerie Tyson, and she's some R&B. Very good. All of the bands there are very good, and it's a great evening, especially on Friday night if you're working people, and it's just good to get out and relax. So that, the Daily Word. Every week we read from the Daily Word. Once again, we are offering the Daily Word here for sale. We used to do it a long time ago, and then we stopped. We would like to offer it again on a trial basis. The book is published bi-monthly. There's affirmations and prayers in here for every day of the week. So you're getting 60 plus affirmations and prayers. I personally like to have a hard copy. It's easy to get to. It's large print. We can also order it in Spanish, so you can give to your friends and family if that is applicable to you. It's the same price as you would if you were to order it through the mail or online. So if you're interested, we do have them in the back. And I said, if there's no interest, then we're not going to continue it. So please support that if you like. And we have a very special guest speaker here today, August Gold. She was here for Easter, and if you were here for the Easter service, I need say no more. If you were not here for the Easter service, she is a dynamic storyteller. She is an author, and she is a veteran of helping organizations and founding organizations for people in need, whether that be illness or otherwise. She speaks locally in Fort Lauderdale and Wilton Manors 2 times a week. We have information here in the back. You can collect some and tell you exactly where she is and where she is speaking. And there is also an abbreviated biography in the bulletin this week, but there's so much more that she does, and we are so grateful and blessed that she is with us here today. She will be with us again at the end of the month, and then she has some speaking engagements here during the rest of the summer. So please tell your friends and join us. At this time, we'd like to recognize any new guests, and I see some new faces. If you're not shy, raise your hand. We have a connection card for you. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here today. Fill this out as much as you're comfortable with. We do not share our information, but we do keep you updated of everything that is going on. Like I said before, we had a town hall meeting during the week, and we are sending out news blasts every week. If you are not getting them, we either do not have your information correctly, or we do not have it at all. So if you're interested in getting the news of Fort Lauderdale, please fill out one of these cards at some point during the service and drop it in the offertory box. Let's get up and say hello to someone that you don't know with a little bit of music. Ellie.
Hello. Oh, Herman, you're the one who sent me the program.
I'm so excited about this.
Oh, great.
Hey, how are you? Good to see you. All right.
us the daily word for today.
Good morning, spiritual family.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The daily word for June 9, 2019. I live each day in celebration for this sacred gift of life. I give thanks that I am spiritually centered so that whatever I do, I am consciously aware of God. Every part of my mind, body, and spirit joins this celebration of wonder. Divine life flows through me an unlimited measure. This life renews, revitalizes, restores, and perfects me. I am wholly, vibrantly alive, aglow with pure, dynamic life. I greet the day with eager anticipation. God's presence ensures that the fantastic and unexpected are a normal part of my being. I am ever evolving through the gift of spirit. Each moment is an opportunity to strengthen my faith, courage, joy, wisdom, happiness, and love. I live each day in celebration for this precious gift of life. You show me the path of life. In your presence there is fullness and joy. In your right hand and pleasure forevermore. Psalm 16:11. Can you now please join us as we prepare for meditation, as we sing, I Am at Peace.
And with a breath gently into your body, you're inviting in the presence of life to be a presence inside of you. And then you breathe out gently, and you're letting that exhale take everything with it that you are now willing to release that is not high and whole and present. And you're observing that in this moment, you're making a choice. You breathe in gently and you are connecting to the presence of life, and you are choosing to let that become you. And you are breathing out and releasing and letting go everything that stands in its way. And you're observing your willingness to do so. Breathe in a breath of life and let yourself feel how your body soaks it up. How your body loves the feeling of being so filled with something alive, something real, something good, something God. And with each exhale, you're noticing how much more willing you're becoming. Because you're using the muscle of releasing that which is no longer here in the moment, becomes so much easier for you to do. So you breathe in gently again, creating more spaciousness within yourself in which to receive more of life, flowing through more of you. And feel how good that feels to do so. Eventually it becomes second nature to breathe out gently, just like you're doing, and release everything that's not here in the moment that life is giving you now. Everything from yesterday that just goes out on the gentle exhale, because it's not part of this good feeling of aliveness that you are breathing in gently to your body again right now. This is the way your body goes with the flow. This is the way your body enters relationship with spirit. This is the way your body says hello to God. This is the way your body prays. It opens and breathes in gently, knowing that it is the breath of God that is breathing it. And there is comfort and strength in that. There is joy and wonder in that. Let yourself feel what it feels like to have access to spirit in an instant, by simply consciously turning to your breath, knowing this is the way you and spirit connect in the moment. It's as real and as alive and as fulfilling as this next breath you take in gently. And this next breath you let out gently, knowing what you are letting go with it is nothing that belongs to you anymore. What belongs to you is this moment, this instant. And when we put our focus and our attention and our awareness on this moment, this breath, We can feel it. There's so much peace, and we can feel it because we're with our body, inviting life in to an ordinary instant that becomes a holy instant the moment I remember who is breathing me now. So take a final breath of life, of living presence into your body and let it do its healing magic. For that breath doesn't bring healing, it is healing. And observe how good it feels to allow Spirit to embody you in this moment.
Please stand and sing Let It Be.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am from Christ Church Unity in Orlando. My name is Jonathan Brown, and I want to thank everybody who made this possible for me to come down and sing for you today. Have you ever felt it could all go away if you blink? If you never stop running, you won't fall behind, so you think. And you wonder in your heart if you're still who you are. Who are you? Nothing's as it seems if it all falls apart. If you have a dream, go chase it. If you feel hope, don't waste it. If you feel love, embrace it. Never take a single breath for granted. The story is yours, go write it. Tomorrow is undecided. Our days are counted on this planet. Never take a single breath. Take a single breath for granted. Oh, your heart, just listen to your heart, nobody else. So go find out who you are, only you know who you are. Who are you? 'Cause all you have to lose is your best life yet. If you have a dream, go chase it. If you feel hope, don't waste it. If you find love, embrace it. Never take a single breath for granted. The story is yours, go write it. Tomorrow is undecided. Our days are counted on this planet. So don't take another breath, take another breath for granted. Sometimes the greatest moments we'll ever know is when we'll let it go. So let go. Maybe our brightest days still wait for us in the unknown, in the unknown. If you have a dream, go chase it. If you feel hope, don't waste it. If you find love, embrace it. Never take a single breath for granted. If you feel love, embrace it. The story is yours, don't waste it. Our days are counted on this planet. So don't take another breath, take another breath for granted. Oh, never take a breath for granted.
I'm sorry to do this to you after such a beautiful song, but I have to read you something that's going to piss you off. That was so beautiful. So Kabir, like Rumi, like the mystical poets, his main relationship was with spirit. Here's a man who devoted his life to his relationship, dedicated his life to a relationship with God. God wasn't a concept. God was a real living presence that he wanted to know, that he fell in love with, and he wrote from that consciousness to let us know what awaits us in those moments when we make that connection to the living presence, what kind of love we will feel, what kind of guidance we will receive. And so he turned to spirit. He said, I had to seek the physician. Nishkat, capital P. I had to seek the physician because of the pain this world caused me. And I could not believe what happened when I found the physician. And before I left, Spirit said to me, are you up for a little homework yet? Okay, I replied. Well then, try thanking all the people who have caused you pain, because all of them helped you come to me. Now, that's going to make you quietly resentful, Because the idea of try thanking all the people who have caused you pain is not exactly what we want to do with all the people who caused us pain. We have other ideas of how we'd like to meet the people who have caused us pain, right? We want to see them on their knees begging for forgiveness that we will or we won't bestow. But thanking them, and Mira calls it kissing the hands that caused your scars. She gets even more personal about it. Now, take a breath into that consciousness, and that's what it is. It's a consciousness. That's all it is. Because we live in a world, as Kabir said, the pain of this world is great. And I am in pain because of what the world did to me. So we go to a place like the Bible and we will find a million stories like this. And one of the stories is brutal. I wouldn't say what Kabir says to us, to this woman, at the moment in which she got thrown out of her home, of her people. So the story goes in the Old Testament that Abraham and Sarah had a woman with them who took care of them. And when Abraham and Sarah couldn't have a baby, and they were well up into their 80s, they couldn't have a baby, they decided, Sarah came to Abraham and said, why don't you just have a baby with Hagar? Why don't you just go ahead and do that so we can finally have a son? It won't be mine in the same way, but I've raised him as mine. So Abraham and Hagar go do the thing. They have a child. And everything is beautiful. And Hagar is well respected and loved. She provided such a great service until the time one day Sarah got pregnant. Now it's the Bible. And she's in her 80s. And she got pregnant. We just have to let that go. We can't focus on that, right? We can't back that up with any evidence at all. So we say, okay, there are women now who are having babies at 50. At the time, it was in the 80s, so she had a baby. Now she has a baby with Abraham, and suddenly, the son that Abraham had with Hagar, she doesn't want that divided loyalty. She does not want to have to divide the inheritance. She doesn't like what she sees coming down the road, so she turns to Abraham and says, you know, Hagar and her son, Ishmael, they got to go. And this breaks Abraham's heart, but he does it. He has to do it. So he sends them out. He sends out into the wilderness. No Starbucks. Just imagine. You don't have a bathroom or a latte when you wake up. Right? Sends out into the wilderness, into the nothingness, this mother and her child. And it says that Abraham gave them some water, and gave them some bread. And how long is water and bread going to last in a desert with a mother and a child? Right? Go kiss the hand that caused the scar. I don't think so. And they go out, and what happens is exactly what you would imagine happens. They go out, and there comes a moment, 48 hours later, 72 hours later, the water is gone, no matter how thrifty you are with the water, and the bread is gone. And there they are in the middle of nowhere. And her son is screaming in hunger and for food, for something. It's boiling, it's the desert, and she can't help him. This mother can't do one thing for her child. Try thanking all the people who have caused you pain. Now, we know that that's what forgiveness should look like. But we have to remember, when we're in the moment, it is nearly impossible to remember the truth. And what is the truth we need to remember? The truth we need to remember is what's going on beneath the surface of what's actually happening. Because what's actually happening is the story that's playing out in our life. Nobody's going to argue with that at all. It's happening. It's happening right in front of her. It's happening. But the truth that we hold on to, people like us who meet in rooms like this, where you could be at the beach this morning, you're not at the beach, you're here because there is a truth that you hold on to in your life that's your through line. And that through line is what keeps you moving, as Ernest Holmes would say, above the law of averages. We hold on to the truth, and I'll tell you the truth in Taoist terms. In the Tao Te Ching, I'll show you how small this book is. You're not going to believe it. This sacred text, the Tao Te Ching, is 81 verses long. And there are no stories in it at all. It's a book of spiritual principles and truths from the East. It is the second most printed book after the Bible. It is a gigantic secret. And the way they talk about truth is different but similar. And I love hearing things different about things that I already know, but to hear them in a different way helps open me up to keep it fresh. And this is what verse 72 in the Tao Te Ching says. One line, the first line of verse 72 says, when the people do not fear worldly power, a greater power will arrive. When the people do not fear worldly power, a greater power will arrive. So in the moment a story is happening, you know a story is happening, but what we're asked to do is, if we don't get sucked up into the fear of the story, if we don't get lost in the story, if we don't dive down below that line of the story, we will be able to let the story unfold. And we will be able to become what this story is inviting us to become. The more we already are, and the more we have yet to unfold. The point of every story in your life is the same point, and it is to let this greater power arrive in your life. And what do we discover? That greater power arises from within you. Now, how does it arise within you? Hagar leaves. The villagers all turn their backs. I mean, nobody takes her in. She's in the desert. Nobody says, you know, I feel bad for you. I'll take you in. Nobody. She's on her own, man. Totally on her own. But she didn't sit at the edge of his tent. She didn't sit at Abraham's tent and say, I refuse to go. I'm not doing it. You can't do this. I'm going to litigate. I'm calling my lawyer. Right? Chaim Yankel. Right? Back in the day. I'm calling my lawyer. I'm going to sue you in court. She turned and did what happens in every fairy tale and in every universal teaching story from the Bible onward. She walked forth. Something happened and she kept moving forward. Now, the only way we can keep moving forward is if we are holding on to a truth that is greater than the story that seems to tell us that the story of our life, this is going to be the last story. My story is over. My life is over. Look at this story. It's a horrible story. Nobody would say this is going to end well. But when you're holding to the truth, you're holding to a spaciousness around the story, knowing that there is the story that is happening, but then there is also the story that is happening because life is unfolding this particular story in my life in order to evolve me so that I become the more I already am, but don't know yet because I haven't yet gone through this story that's going to grow me to the size of becoming who life knows me to be, who God knows me to be, that I don't yet know. What a different way of holding a story. Now, in conscious leadership, they say it this simply. In the path of conscious leadership, which I believe we are really all on, we have become leaders to our own selves, start there. There is a line, they say. And you're either above the line or below the line. Above the line, you're dealing with what's in front of you. Your eyes are forward, you're walking forth, and you're addressing what is right in front of you. Below the line, when we're below the line, we're complaining. The moment is here, and what are we doing with the moment? We're complaining, we're arguing, we're resisting, we're resenting, we're hating it. We don't want it. It's not ours. Why is it happening? It shouldn't be happening. You know the drill. There are 1,000 sentences that begin with, I hate this, right? That's below the line. Why? Because when you're below the line, you're not walking forth. You're stuck right in the place of the story where it's time for you to do something, to see something, to become something, and instead of being in the story of the truth of the moment, you are choosing to stand in the moment as a victim of the moment, as a victim of the story. Now, this is not bad. It's just unbelievably painful when we're below the line. So she reaches the end of the line. Here's what's so interesting. She didn't hang back. She kept walking forth until she ran out of everything. She couldn't go forward. You say, but what happens when you run out of everything? Isn't she at the end of her line? She wasn't at the end of her line, because when she recognized that she could no longer figure out how to help her son, she did something different. And it's what we all do. And in the 12-step program, they call it hitting bottom. I won't ask for a round of hands to show me how many have hit bottom, because I know every hand is going to go up. And if your hand doesn't go up, it is because it's going to go up probably an hour from now. Right? Everybody's going to hit their bottom because that's the nature of it. And here's the beauty of hitting a bottom. The beauty of hitting a bottom is you are willing to let go of your idea of how this moment should look. So she reaches a point where she doesn't know what to do with her son, so she puts her son by a bush, and she goes to another place where she doesn't even have to watch him. She doesn't want to watch him die. She can't watch him die. She puts him in a place where she doesn't have to see him. She can hear his cries, but she doesn't have to see him. And she herself starts weeping. We ourselves, in a moment of a bottom, know we've come to the end of our line. We can't stay above the line one more minute the way we are. And she is so filled, obviously, as we all are, with fear, because our way has run out. We don't know how to fix this situation. And here's what a bottom does. When you hit a bottom, that's when you're willing to open to whatever. Her fear is so great that she cries out herself for help. And when she cries out, it says in the story, an angel hears her. And it's such a simple statement. We need to really understand this. When we call out for assistance, we are heard. There's a woman in Britain, I forget her name. I should know it off the top of my head, and I do, but it's not here, so we're going to just let that go. Because if I make you wait with me, I'll have to say, talk amongst yourselves while it comes to me. There is a woman who grew up with angels. She knew she was surrounded. Lorna, that's close. I'll take half, right? She can't remember the other half. What? Lorna, that's okay. Lorna, somebody wonderful. And Lorna grew up with angels, and what she says definitively that you need to know is that every single person on the globe has a guardian angel with them. And in this story, Hagar cried out, and the angel answered her and said, I hear your cry. God has heard your cry. We don't have to worry about being heard. Your cry has been heard. In fact, what we do when we hit bottom is what we're invited to do all the time, which is to ask for assistance all the time. We don't nearly ask for assistance all the time. We ask for assistance when we really need it, as opposed to walking through every single day asking for assistance for everything. That would be wonderful, because the angelic realm would love to work with us every step of the way, because we're not meant to do it by ourselves. God has heard your cry, the angel says. God has heard your cry. And this is what the angel said to do. Arise. How many times do we hear that in the Bible. Rise up. Rise up. Now, it doesn't just mean rise up from a sitting position because God's so holy you better stand in God's presence. Not at all. Arise means lift yourself up from staring at the story that is happening to you, so you can see that which is happening for you. It doesn't negate the story, it lifts you up above the story. Why? Because Hagar, in the level of consciousness that she was in, was out of food and out of water, which means you're out of luck in the desert. She didn't have much time left. But when you arise in consciousness, when you do what the Tao Te Ching in the verse 72 asks of you, which is when people stop fearing worldly power, a greater power arrives. So what was the second thing she was told? Fear not. Fear, terror. Oh my God, I can't believe this. It shouldn't be happening. This is wrong. Life is hard. Life is bad. That's us standing below the line. We know it because it doesn't feel good. We feel helpless. We feel like a victim. We feel poor. We feel like life is unfair. Life is wrong. It shouldn't happen. I wish the color of my skin were different. I wish men were different. I wish women were different. I wish the government was different. I wish life was different. I wish the climate was different. I wish my own body was different. Right? We go on in that theme, and what happens is we're stuck in a place below the line where the story of our life stops moving right there, right there. That's why Kabir said, that's why the mystical poets will say, go thank the person that brought you to this place, because the story that you are wrestling with brought you to me. Check it out. We end up stopping depending upon our own mental gyrations to figure out what's happening to us, and we go to the source of what's happening to us. Go to the author of it, right? When I have a complaint at AT&T, I don't talk to a customer service representative because I know they have no power to help me. They will hear my problem and they'll say all the nice things. Oh, I can imagine how frustrated you are. I ask to speak to the supervisor because I want somebody who feels my pain and can do something about my pain, right? So you ask for the supervisor or the manager at AT&T and they can make something happen. We want to go to the author of the story. We want to go to life itself. And the reason we pray, and the reason we meditate, and the reason we practice, the reason we spend time doing this toolkit of exercises that build our interior self is because life changes in every single second, and we need to deal with the life that we are given, that's presented to us in every second, and keep walking forth without collapsing under the weight of the story. So we build a muscle and build a muscle, and we turn to truth, and we turn to spirit, and we turn to spirit, and we breathe spirit, and we feel spirit. We feel the difference between trusting and fearing. What was she told? Fear not. Fear not is a practice. Every time you breathe in gently and breathe out gently, and you are breathing in the spirit of life, that's a fearless moment. Every time you expend an instant in the communion of holiness with divinity, in the communion of holiness with life itself, that is a fearless moment. That's a fearless moment. You are embodying the presence of life, so that when you're in a moment that you need to be fearless, you know exactly what to do. You take a breath. That's exactly what to do. How do you rise up but to take a breath? How do you fear not except to take a breath? And how do we get any closer to God, any more intimate to God than taking a breath? We're taking it in. This is not a concept. I think I'll have a little bit of a discussion about God, or I'll write some notes about God, or I'll read a book about God. How about we take a breath and we let the breath of God embody us? And in that breathing in and breathing out, suddenly we feel a lifted upness. We feel it. Fear not to me is another way of saying, lift me up. It's the only way. Lift me up. We rise in consciousness. Why? So we can look out at the same scenario and see it from a far higher perspective. Whose perspective? Life's perspective. So what happens? She's standing in the same place she was standing, right? There was no water to be found. What's going to happen? Is Santa Claus going to come with, a big sack of things that she needs? Or like the Hunger Games, is a little parachute going to come down and be given to her a little extra bread and a little extra water? That's not at all how it works. We don't hold to truth, so we can tweak the story in front of us to make it a story we like better. We don't arise and fear not so we can move the pieces around and manipulate the people and places and control things so we can make it turn out the way we want it to turn out so that I can be okay. We don't do that. We don't work at that level. Why? Because it's a small level and it keeps you beneath the line. The word control, manipulate, complaining, it's all below the line. What we do is we know that when we stop fearing worldly power, when we stop being afraid of our own shadow, when we turn the volume down on the news cycle, man, when we turn the volume down on the voice of the fearful world, hitting its marketing agenda of more viewers watching more news programs. They got stuff to sell. That's their agenda. When we turn the volume down on the agendas of the corporations, then we turn the volume up on hearing the voice within us that doesn't have to be still and small. It's not a still, small voice. It's only a still, small voice because we can't hear it because we don't turn to it. When we stop fearing and hearing and focusing on the story, on the story, on the story of what's wrong, a greater power arrives, the Tao Te Ching says. Verse 72, a greater power arrives. She was told to arise and to fear not. She was told to lift up her son. She was told to raise his hand. She was told to rise up. Why? Why must we rise up? Why must we rise up? To remember a truth. Any truth. In the moment, the truth that we are being evolved, the truth that life is growing us, the truth that we are part of creation, and like part of creation, we are in an evolutionary cycle just like a rose bush is. We are part of creation, we are being evolved, and this story is part of our evolution. It doesn't matter that we don't like it and we hate it and it's wrong. It doesn't matter. It's all below the line, and it's going to keep me unable to let life grow me in this moment because of this story. We arise to the place of where that truth we know comes from, that we are all connected, that there's a living presence that moves and breathes through us and expresses as us. Pick your truth. You should have a dozen in your hand that you have memorized already. Because when we rise up, something crazy happens. Here she is in a desert of nothingness. And when she hears what the angel says to her, when she hears the arise and the fear not and take your son's hand, here's what she hears. I will make of him, this boy who's starving and thirsting, I will make of him a great nation. That's what she hears. Meaning, I've got something in store for you that's going to blow your mind. That's another way of saying. She's thinking, I need a piece of bread. And God is thinking, I'm going to make a great nation out of Ishmael. I'm going to make a great nation out of him. She didn't yet know he was going to go on to have 12 sons, and those would be a tribe amongst themselves. She did not know what the history books now tell us about who he was. All she knew was, I need a little bread and I need a little bit of water. But when we rise up, we can see a greater picture. And what happened? She did what she was told. She held the story loosely. She didn't keep repeating the phrase, I'm dying, I'm starving, my kid is starving. She did not stay beneath the line. She stood instead above the line, holding on to truth. And from that higher level of consciousness, she opened her eyes, and what did she see? Now, she sees a well with water. Like, where the hell was that well 5 minutes ago? Right? It's not like in a desert you're going to miss something. There is nothing. So whatever is there, you're going to see it, because there's nothing but that thing to see. And it's not like she went to LensCrafters and had her eyes adjusted with the proper pair of glasses. She opened her eyes in the same moment, but what shifted in the moment is she rose up to the level of consciousness of truth, to the level of consciousness of living presence, the level of consciousness that we are being evolved. This is our evolution. This is us coming to fruition. This is us coming to fruition. She rose up to that level, and there was the water. All the water her and her son would need. All the water her and her son would need. There it was, right in front of us, in front of her. Where was it before? And that's what's so fascinating. This isn't a story about the miracle of the well, how God gave her a miracle of the well. Otherwise, we have to pray for every little thing to happen. She went up to the consciousness where that truth resides. A greater power will arrive when you stop fearing what's in front of you. Stop fearing what's going on in the world, in your world. When you stop fearing, a greater power arrives. That greater power arrived as her ability to see clearly. Because when we are in fear, I'm sorry, we are not seeing clearly at all. We're not seeing. We're a bit blind. Our senses are dulled. We're not seeing. We're not hearing. All we're seeing and hearing is all the things that are wrong with the moment. We can't see and hear where the spaciousness of our evolution resides, where the doors are open, where the possibilities are. They're there, but we're not there. We are not at the level of consciousness in which we can see clearly what is present. The well was always there. She just couldn't see it, because when we're below the line, we can only see the problem. Take a breath into your body. Now, nobody's asking Hagar to forgive Abraham the moment it happens. We don't go to forgiveness while we're in the story. While we're in the story, we might have our feelings, but don't get lost in the feelings. And don't get lost in the story. The great Buddhist living, I want to call her a saint, but they don't have things like that in Buddhism. But this woman is just so powerfully, mystically alive, so wise, so connected. Pema Chodron. You maybe know her, you maybe have read some of her books. Pema Chodron. She has her retreat up in Nova Scotia. That's where she lives. And what does she say? Interrupt the storyline. Interrupt the storyline. Interrupt the storyline. Whatever story you're working, interrupt the storyline. That's how I use my breathing. That's how I use the spiritual tools. I use them so that when my head is spinning off into a story of this, or a story of something that happened back then, or a story of what might happen, or what could happen, or what did happen, or what I wish hadn't happened, all these stories are playing out in our head. What I do is interrupt the storyline and take a breath into my body, which is another way of saying I arise. You can arise 20 times a day by simply taking a conscious breath, knowing it's the breath of God you are breathing in, the breath of life you are breathing in, the breath of the universe that you are breathing in and breathing with. And that one breath is going to enable you to arise so that you may move forward in the story. She took her son and they moved forward, and things began to open up for them. I will lead you myself and be with you, Spirit said. Spirit's always with us, but are we here to receive that greatness which is here, wanting to be given to us? And that is in our hands. And I'm telling you, I'm not kidding when I say it is a breath away. We take the breath and we begin to remember to focus less on the story, to not make the story our only focus, but to back up a little so that we may see the story around the story of our evolution and God's desire, life's impelling need to grow us into the people we are meant to be. She became a mother of a son of a great nation. We are meant to do great things. The breath we take now enables us to arise into the place where our greatness resides. You can call it God's greatness, but you can call it your greatness because they're one and the same thing. And that breath that enables you to embody Spirit in the moment allows you to stand above the line and make what's going on not about who's right and wrong, but to make it about how do I want to stand in relation to what it is life is giving me to grow me. And putting the accent in that place, game changer. Without that, we just feel that life is hard and unfair. But with that, we recognize that what is coming is here to help me become that which life created me to become. That's how purposeful what's here is in my life. And when you take a breath, you remember it. And when you remember it, the way the story plays out, entirely different story. Enough said.
As our band gets set up, we will be singing We Are So Blessed. So we're going to move into a time of giving and receiving, and to know that as you prepare your gifts, that all of your gifts here go to support this ministry, and we believe in the law of attraction, that what you give, you receive. We are so blessed. If you give online, that's also as a symbolic gesture. Please hold your hand to your heart. And let us call to mind the things that we are blessed. We're blessed and grateful to have such a fantastic storyteller here with us today. We're blessed to have such a fantastic music ministry and guest speakers, John and Dee Dee and the Unity Band. We're blessed to have people willing to serve in the community. We're blessed for the awareness that with a single breath, we are and we can connect. Let us affirm our offertory blessing. Divine love
through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all
Wow, what an awesome, powerful message. Oh, now it's time to get up and release some of that pressure and just have a good time. And just be happy. Be happy that we're here at Unity this morning. Come on, everybody, jump away your feet. It might seem crazy what I want to say. Sometimes it's easy, you can take a break. Go ahead and take a break.
Yeah.
Now my heart has to lose those days. With the air, I don't care, make me by the way. Come on, put those hands together. Because I'm not alone. If you feel like a room, I do. Because I'm not alone. If you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm not alone. If you know that happiness is the truth. Hey, hey. Not alone if you feel like that's what you want to do. If I'm bad news, say listen tonight. I give you all you got and don't hold back. Cause I can promise you, you'll be mine. Well, I don't care, baby, by the way. Come on, put those hands together. Because I'm not alone if you feel a room I room. I'm not alone if you feel like that's what you wanna do. I'm not alone if you know that happiness is the truth. Hey, not alone if you feel like that's what you wanna do. Gonna bring me down, king. I'm gonna bring me down. My nerves are too happy. Gonna bring me down, king. I'm gonna bring me down. Happy, happy, happy. Say it with me. Happy, 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 happy. Happy, 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 happy. Happy, happy. Because I'm alone if you feel a room I room. Not alone if you feel like that's what you want to. Not alone if you know that happiness is the truth. Hey, hey. Not alone if you feel like that's what you want to. Not alone if you feel like a room without a roof. Not alone if you feel like that's what you want to do. Not alone if you know that happiness is the truth. Hey, hey. Not alone if you feel like that's what you want to do.
Awesome. I see two young ladies in the audience, some children. Do we have any other children that I can't see here? All right, let's bless the children of the world and the children that we know are inside each and every one of us. Children, we love you. Children, we bless you. We see the essence of God in you, and we know you are destined for great things. Once again, I'd like to thank August Gold for being here today. There is information on the welcome table about where she speaks during the week. Please take one with you and go home. She will be here at the end of the month. We have prayer chaplains here. They have Jennifer. I see Jennifer. If you are going through or need a prayer, just for gratitude, our chaplains are here to pray with you. And I know we didn't have a slide up today, but 24/7 Silent Unity is available for prayer if you do need it. Okay, let us stand and affirm our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us.
The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
And the peace song. Everybody have a happy Sunday. Stay cool.